Hello, I'm Bob Holmes. I'm a travel photographer living in Marin County, California, and I moved to the States from England in 1979, and I was fortunate enough to get my first break shooting a story for National Geographic in Pakistan. In the 1980s, I crossed Nepal looking for snow leopards for National Geographic. I shot several stories for Departures magazine on the great cities of the world. And in 1990, the Society of American Travel Writers gave me their Travel Photographer of the Year award. In 91, I was a runner-up for the same award. And in 1992, I was the first photographer to be given the award for a second time. Up to the present date, I've been the sole photographer for 46 books, and I'm currently working on my 47th and 48th. And this year, I was very fortunate to be given the Travel Photographer of the Year award again for the third time, after first being given it 20 years ago. I hope you enjoy the show.
Bob, I'd like to thank you for inviting us to your studio for advancing your photography.
Thank you for coming.
Tell me about your style of photography and the type of work you love to do.
I love to take photographs. I've been labelled as a travel photographer for my whole professional career. But really, travel photography is photography. It's portraits, landscape, you do everything.
Okay, in terms of lighting, what would be some good lighting tips for getting really dramatic effects?
Learn to look at light. I am a natural light photographer. I don't look for jobs that require artificial light. I hate strobes because it's so difficult to control them unless you have a vast amount of experience. I tend to use hot lights, but the secret to lighting really is looking at light. You have to look at it as the camera looks at it. That's the secret, not just, I can see detail in the left-hand side of your face perfectly clearly, but the camera won't see it that way, obviously. I'd expose to the highlights and it would be a very sharp contrast, and you have to recognize that. So really learn to see as the camera sees.
Bob, can you tell me, in terms of your shots, what are some of the key points that you use every time you pick up a camera or even before you pick up a camera?
I think the important thing about getting good photographs is not even to be aware of the camera. I always tell students that, as most photography teachers do, the camera should become an extension of you. The cameras get in the way of photography. If you're aware of the camera and not constantly adjusting the camera, you're not looking intensely enough at your subject. It would be nice if you could imprint the image straight onto your brain somehow. The camera gets in the way. But having said that, I always check, particularly with modern cameras, with digital cameras, there are so many controls on them, and it is so easy to forget. I always check the ISO rating, because sometimes I'll be shooting in a dark space like this space here, for example, and rate it at 1600 ISO, which with modern digital cameras produces superb results.
Right.
And I had an embarrassing moment last year. I was shooting in a wine cave, and then I had to take a photograph of the whole of the winery staff, including the owner, the winemaker, everybody. I got them all outside in fairly bright sun, and after the shoot, and they'd all gone, I realized I left it on 1600 ISO, and miraculously the shots were fine.
Wow.
But now I always double check ISO. I check white balance, I check the exposure compensation, I check everything on the camera as often as I can, really, because it's so easy to do something and then forget about it.
Yeah. Can you run us through a step-by-step of how you approach a travel shoot?
Research is fundamental. I read as much as I can about the destination I'm going to. I look at photographs, although I'm sometimes wary of looking at photographs because you can get preconceived ideas and it becomes difficult not to plagiarize.
Right.
But I always do it, not plagiarize, but hopefully. But I always look at photographs of the place, know what I'm going to be up against. And you always try and improve what's been done before. So that basic research is essential. When I get to the destination, depending upon the destination, I often buy postcards that are multifunctional. Postcards show you the places that the people that live there think are worth visiting and seeing,
Yep.
obviously. You can show them to taxi drivers if you want to go to a destination. If you don't speak the language, just show them a postcard, and then you can send them home afterwards. So postcards are very useful for basic stuff. And I talk to a lot of people. When I'm on the ground, I'm always asking questions, and you find the most interesting things that way. You're always asking for recommendations of things that you should see or whatever. And that's the basic research work.
Okay.
As far as equipment is concerned, just check everything before you leave. I travel very simply. I don't believe in carrying a lot of equipment. Then I carry 2 DSLRs, and with those I have 2 essential lenses, a 24-70 and a 70-200, which I can live with. I also carry a 35 1.4 and a 17-35, I think it is, wide zoom. But the only ones I really, 300 I carry. Those all go in check bags, because if I lose them, I can still work.
Yeah.
But with me, I always carry with me the 24-75, 24-70, and the 70-200. They never leave my sight, and neither of the bodies do either. And that's basically it. I carry a little strobe, on-camera strobe, which I rarely use. I carry a tripod, which I rarely use, though I probably should use it more often than I do. And really, that's about it.
Bob, what do you think the most important aspect of photography is?
Without question, it's seeing. It's the ability to look at something and really see it. Most people look and don't see. Equipment is very secondary. You know, the beginning photographer, or even the fairly advanced amateur, tends to be preoccupied with equipment. They want to know what camera you use, what lenses you use, and it really isn't important.
So are there any tips or exercises for improving your ability to look for an image?
Find those people whose work you respond to, and then look at it to rejuvenate your own vision. You don't copy it,
Right.
but I do nothing like Irving Penn, for example, but it excites me. It makes me want to go out and shoot, and that's important.
Any tips for improving composition?
Always scan the edges of the frame. Always be looking at the edges of the frame. You're responsible for everything that is in that photograph. There's no excuse for something being in there that you didn't intend being in. And you have to learn to do that. Again, learn to do it almost intuitively, but always be aware of what you're cropping out of the image and also what you're putting into the image.
Any final tips for viewers who just want to get better photographs?
Keep shooting. Shoot as much as you can. Photography is deceptively simple. You can't expect to pick up a violin and play it within a week, but people expect to pick up a camera and take great photographs within a week, and it just doesn't happen. Everybody can get the occasional really good photograph, but the secret is to be consistent. And the thing that separates most professionals from amateurs is that we can have a horrible day. You've had a fight with your wife, you've got a hangover, everything's gone wrong, and yet you still have to go out and make great photographs. And the only way you can do that is practice, practice, practice.
Bob, thanks for inviting us and for giving us an inside look into your world of photography.
Thanks. Thanks, Mark.